President Trump is playing defense for Saudi Arabia after a U.S. government report concluded that he indeed did kill Jamal Khashoggi, that MBS did do that. So Rand Paul is one of the senators trying to block arms sales to Saudi Arabia now. Let's watch him talk about that.
We turn now to the news that the CIA has determined that Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman personally ordered the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Kentucky Republican Senator Rand Paul joins us now from Bowling Green. Senator, the president says a final conclusion will be made this week by the U.S. government. But in a Fox interview, he indicated that essentially murder can be forgiven if the kingdom provides economic benefit. Listen to this exchange.
What if the Crown Prince, speaking to you, the President of the United States, directly lied to you about
Well, he told me that he had nothing to do with it. He told me that, I would say, maybe 5 times at different points.
So what if he's lying?
As recently as a few days ago.
Do you just live with it because you need him?
Well, will anybody really know? All right, will anybody really know? But he did have certainly people that were reasonably close to him that were probably involved. You saw we put on very heavy sanctions, massive sanctions on a large group of people from Saudi Arabia. But at the same time, we do have an ally, and I want to stick with an ally that in many ways has been very good.
What do you make of the president's remarks?
Well, you know, the Crown Prince, his brother, made a phone call to Khashoggi, the dissident that was killed and dismembered. And that phone call was to tell Khashoggi, hey, it's fine. You can go to the consulate. No one will harm you. Well, you know, we have the Crown Prince's brother making that phone call. I think we have other intelligence that may link brothers' phone calls back to the Crown Prince. I think the evidence is overwhelming that the Crown Prince was involved. And so, no, I don't think we can sweep this under the rug. The thing about sanctions is that I think sanctions are pretending to do something without really doing anything. Most of these people are in prison other than the Crown Prince. But the Crown Prince runs the country and we deal with him. If we put sanctions on people who are in prison, are we really doing anything to punish them? They're already in prison. We need to punish who ordered this, who's in charge, and really the only thing they understand over there is strength. I think they will see sanctions as weakness on the part of the president. And if the president wants to act strongly, he should cut off the arms sale, not only because of the killing, but until they stop bombing civilian populations. Secretary Pompeo told Saudi Arabia 3 weeks ago, stop bombing civilian populations. Since then, Saudi Arabia has bombed cities 200 times. They're not listening.
You're talking
They're
about in Yemen.
indiscriminately bombing civilians. Yes,
You're talking about in Yemen. I should point out Saudi Arabia disputes the reporting that there was a phone call between Prince Khalid and Jamal Khashoggi. They say that's just not true. But given the CIA assessment overall that says there was a role, do you think this needs to trigger some other kind of change in policy? You're on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Are you going to try to block the appointment of the appointed ambassador?
Realize the Saudis have told us a lot of things that were untrue. They told us it was a fist fight that went bad. They told us he was alive. They had a body double there to try to trick people into believing he was still alive. So the Saudis have been duplicitous since the very beginning. Do we need to do more? Yes. But at the very least, we need to quit selling arms to people who lie to us.
The president says that's exactly why, though. Those arms sales are exactly why the relationship is important, and he's not going to hurt the economic benefits.
Here's my point. The arms sales don't make us safer. They make us less safe. When we sell arms to a foreign country, it should not ever be for jobs. It should be for our national security. The Saudis involving us in their war in Yemen is a disaster. 17 million people live on the edge of starvation. If we get involved in another civil war in the Middle East, that's not good for our national security. That just drains our natural resources. Yeah, quit arming the Saudis. The Saudis are bombing to the tune of tens of thousands of bombs in Yemen.
Is there anything you can do? Because the president says he's going to continue selling.
Right, yeah. I've introduced resolution after resolution to stop selling arms. We've done it twice, and it's a privileged resolution, meaning they can't prevent me from getting a vote. First time I got 20-something votes. The second time, with the help of a Democrat Senator, Chris Murphy, we got 47 votes. If we have another vote, I think we could almost get to a veto-proof majority. But guess what? They're not bringing any arms sales up right now because they know we might beat them.
Wow. Wow. That is so nuts. they're not bringing it up now because they go, oh, we think you have the votes. So, not even going to bring it up. Sorry, we're out. Holy shit, man. You know what's so funny about this? One of the big, myths created about Obama on the far right and on Fox News and talk radio is that he's weak. He doesn't know how to stand up to people when they're wrong. So he goes on an apology tour about the U.S. all over the place, and he's willing to bend the knee to people who are committing wrongdoings. And of course, that's not true. And the problem with Obama was he was too hawkish, not he was too dovish or, whatever nonsense they were pushing. But what you see here is actual genuine weakness in Trump, where, okay, here you are now faced with an issue where you have to do something to stand up to MBS and let him know, hey, this isn't going to fly, dude. You can't just go around assassinating people who you don't like. And in this instance, this was somebody who was a Washington Post journalist. So he's part of the protected class in D.C. He's part of the elitist circle in D.C. in the establishment media. So that's why they're flipping out about this. But Trump needs to draw a line in the sand and go, hey, listen, man, not happening. Okay? And it is right now in this crucial moment that Trump is doing the thing they used to accuse Obama of doing. And he's bending the knee, and he's like, well, the thing is, we have a tremendous economic deal. They're an amazing partner. I already did sanctions on people who were unrelated to this, but I'm going to pretend like they're related to this. Did unbelievable sanctions on them, tremendous sanctions on them. And Saudi Arabia is a great economic partner. I don't want to jeopardize $1 billion weapons deal to try to change something. Well, that's the fucking problem now, isn't it? And, it hit me the other day. If we can't stop arming Saudi Arabia now, then there is literally, an ally can do literally anything and we would never stop arming them. Because think about what Saudi Arabia is doing. Other than the fact that they just murdered Jamal Khashoggi, okay, putting that aside, which we shouldn't do, but we'll do for a second, they behead people in the public square for sorcery and witchcraft and apostasy, and drug smuggling. This is their literal policy that's on the books. They just allowed women to drive with, by the way, massive, regulations on it. But all of the women who were leading that charge to try to get women the right to drive, MBS rounded them all up and he's sentencing them to death. So they're murdering female activists. They behead people in the public square. They export Salafi jihadism in Yemen, arm al-Qaeda on the ground in Yemen, arm jihadists in Syria. They build radical mosques all around the world. So they're doing all of that. At the same time, they're doing a genocide in Yemen. I use that word, and I'm very serious in using that word. I didn't just willy-nilly throw it around. I mean it. 60 to 70,000 people dead, blockading the country, not allowing in food and medicine, people dying of cholera, people dying of starvation, bombing mosques and open-air markets and hospitals and schools. So doing a genocide, doing all these things I just laid out, and we still are not like, no, seriously, we need to not arm them now. Think about how crazy that is. So, in other words, the geopolitical alliances we have override any concerns ever about human rights and altruism and justice. I just need you to know that, so that the next time Washington, D.C. trots out some hollow-ass human rights argument, you tell them to shove it right up their fucking ass. I don't want to hear a goddamn word about what you think about Assad and Syria, as we are partaking in a literal genocide happening right this second, that we have the power to stop, but we're not doing it. And that, what Rand Paul said there is amazing. They think they could actually win now in blocking the arms sales, so just don't allow it up for a vote. Just don't allow it up for a vote and we'll be good. That's your government at work.